Hey, step away from that line. You're not cleared to be here.
What? I'm literally boarding my flight. Look at my ticket.
I was told someone was trying to bypass screening, and that's you. Don't move.
Pass? I just went through TSA. Check the stamp on my pass.
Keep your hands where I can see them.
Officer Tyler Bennett had been with the Phoenix Police Department for 15 years. In those 15 years, he'd accumulated 31 formal complaints. 26 of them involved black men he'd pulled over without legitimate traffic violations in affluent areas of the city. A black executive in a luxury sedan was stopped for suspicious driving pattern. A black doctor in a Mercedes was detained for improper lane change. That dash cam footage later disproved. A black businessman driving from a meeting was searched for drugs during a routine stop with no violation. A black professor was handcuffed for matching a description that was never verified. A black attorney driving to court was arrested for resisting when he asked for the reason for the stop. A black consultant in an Audi was pulled over for erratic driving when he was going the speed limit. A black accountant was detained for suspicious vehicle operation with no articulated violation. Every complaint ended the same way. Internal affairs review that cleared him. Use of force justification that protected him. Bias training he attended but dismissed. Union grievances that blocked discipline. Written warnings that accumulated in a file nobody acted on. One Thursday afternoon in Phoenix, his 15-year pattern of pretextual stops targeting black men in expensive cars finally confronted someone who didn't just know the law, someone who practiced it every day in courtrooms, who specialized in civil rights cases, who'd sued police departments for misconduct, and whose arrest would be documented with legal precision that would expose every violation. That confrontation would end Bennett's career, cost the city $1 million, and expose a department that had ignored 31 complaints over 15 years. Attorney David Harris, a 41-year-old civil rights lawyer and partner at a prominent Phoenix law firm, was driving through Scottsdale after a client meeting when he saw flashing lights behind him. His bar card was in his wallet. His legal briefcase was on the passenger seat. His law firm parking pass was on his dashboard. No traffic violation, no erratic driving, no legitimate reason for the stop, just a lawyer driving through an upscale area. But Officer Bennett saw him through a lens so warped by racial assumptions that he couldn't process a black man in a BMW as anything other than suspicious. Certainly not as an attorney who'd spent years fighting police misconduct, and definitely not as someone who would document every second of this encounter with legal precision. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Hit that subscribe button. These stories expose the truth. Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, one of the wealthiest areas in the state, with luxury shopping, upscale dining, golf resorts, and affluent residents. The area was known for expensive cars, high-end boutiques, and heavy police presence. It was 4:45 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon, temperature 88°, clear skies. Annually, the airport was a major international hub with flights to every continent, constant security presence, and diverse travelers from around the globe. It was 7:15 p.m. on a Friday evening, the airport bustling with weekend travelers, business passengers, and international flights. Gate 42B was crowded with passengers waiting for United Flight 1247 to Seattle, scheduled to depart at 8:30 p.m. Dr. Ahmed Hassan had been a cardiovascular surgeon for 21 years, currently the chief of cardiac surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, one of the nation's premier heart programs. He'd emigrated from Egypt at age 18, earned his undergraduate degree from UCLA with honors, then his medical degree from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. He'd completed his surgical residency at Massachusetts General Hospital, followed by a cardiothoracic surgery fellowship at the Cleveland Clinic. He'd performed over 7,000 heart surgeries, pioneered minimally invasive techniques that were now used globally, published over 100 papers in leading medical journals, and was recognized internationally as one of the world's top cardiac surgeons. He'd been recruited to Cedars-Sinai 8 years ago specifically to lead and transform their cardiac surgery program. Under his leadership, the program had become one of the top ranked in the nation, with patient outcomes exceeding national benchmarks and a waiting list of patients seeking his expertise. He made $850,000 annually as department chief, compensation reflecting his extraordinary skill and leadership. He was a U.S. citizen, had been for 15 years. He'd saved thousands of American lives. He was a pillar of the Los Angeles medical community. That evening, Dr. Hassan was traveling to Seattle for an emergency surgery scheduled for the next morning. a complex aortic dissection repair on a 52-year-old patient who would die without the surgery. The patient's family had specifically requested Dr. Hassan because of his expertise in these high-risk cases. Dr. Hassan had finished his day at Cedars-Sinai, rushed home to pack, and driven to LAX. He'd checked in, gone through TSA security without incident. His TSA pre-check cleared him quickly, and arrived at his gate with over an hour before boarding. He was wearing business casual clothes, dress pants, and a button-down shirt, and carrying his medical bag with surgical journals and patient imaging studies he needed to review before the surgery. He sat down at the gate, pulled out the patient's CT scans on his iPad, and began reviewing the complex anatomy he'd be operating on in less than 15 hours. He was focused on surgical planning when he noticed an airport police officer staring at him intently. Do you think officers should have reasonable suspicion before detaining airline passengers? Drop your answer below. Officer Richard Foster had those 42 complaints over 17 years. 37 involved Arab, Middle Eastern, or Muslim. Men at the airport. A pattern so extreme and well documented that multiple supervisors had recommended his termination, that civil rights organizations had filed formal complaints with the Department of Justice and TSA, that airlines had complained about him harassing their first-class passengers, that the FBI had reviewed his conduct for potential civil rights violations, and that Internal Affairs had flagged him as creating severe liability and damaging the airport's reputation. But the Airport Police Union had successfully blocked every disciplinary action through aggressive legal challenges and arbitration, arguing that Foster was vigilant about security in a post-9/11 environment, and that complaints were from people who didn't understand airport security needs. His personnel file was thick with complaints from passengers, many of them physicians, engineers, professors, and business executives, describing identical incidents of racial and religious profiling. One Internal Affairs report from 18 months ago specifically stated, Officer Foster demonstrates persistent racial and religious profiling of Arab and Muslim passengers regardless of their credentials, travel history, or behavior. He has created numerous incidents with prominent citizens, damaged relationships with airlines, and exposed the airport to significant legal liability. His conduct violates federal civil rights laws and TSA non-discrimination policies. Recommend immediate termination as this is a matter of federal legal compliance. The recommendation was blocked by the union president who threatened to file discrimination complaints against supervisors for targeting an officer who takes security seriously. Foster remained on duty at LAX because the system protected him. That evening, Foster was patrolling the terminal when he saw Dr. Hashabi Hassan, an Arab man studying what appeared to be medical images on a tablet. Despite Dr. Hassan doing nothing suspicious, sitting quietly at his assigned gate with a valid boarding pass, Foster's biases immediately triggered. "Sir, step aside immediately." Dr. Hassan looked up from his iPad, confused by the hostile approach. "Is there a problem? I'm a passenger waiting for my flight." "I need to see your identification. You're acting suspiciously." Dr. Hassan set down his iPad, increasingly concerned. "Suspiciously? I'm sitting at my gate reviewing medical images for a surgery tomorrow. I'm a physician. I'm flying to Seattle for an emergency cardiac surgery." "I don't believe that. Empty your bags right now." Dr. Hassan felt a familiar dread. This wasn't the first time he'd been profiled in airports because of his name and appearance. "Officer, I'm Dr. Ahmed Hassan. I'm the chief of cardiac surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center here in Los Angeles. I'm traveling to Seattle to perform emergency heart surgery tomorrow morning. My medical credentials are in my bag. My hospital ID is in my wallet. I'm a passenger with a valid ticket and boarding pass. Show me identification now." Dr. Hassan pulled out his wallet and handed over his driver's license, his hospital ID badge showing his photo, and Ahmed Hassan, MD, Chief of Cardiac Surgery, Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and his medical license card. "Here's my identification. I'm a physician. I'm a U.S. citizen. I've cleared TSA security. I'm waiting for my flight like everyone else here." Foster barely looked at the credentials. "I need to search your bags. You're carrying suspicious materials." "Suspicious materials? Those are medical journals and patient CT scans. I'm a cardiac surgeon preparing for surgery." "Open the bags or I'll open them for you." "Should cardiac surgeons be detained for reviewing medical images? Let me know what you think." Dr. Hassan, aware that other passengers were watching and becoming uncomfortable, complied. He opened his medical bag showing surgical journals, patient imaging studies, medical textbooks, and surgical notes. This is standard material for a surgeon. I'm reviewing my patient's case. I have a right to know why I'm being detained. What's your purpose for traveling? I just told you. I'm performing emergency cardiac surgery in Seattle tomorrow morning. A patient will die without this surgery. I need to be on this flight. Where are you from originally? Dr. Hassan felt his anger rising at the obviously discriminatory question. I'm from Los Angeles. I live in Beverly Hills. I work at Cedars-Sinai. I'm a U.S. citizen, and my country of origin is irrelevant to air travel. Don't get hostile. That's suspicious behavior. Hostile? I'm a physician trying to get to a patient who needs emergency surgery. You're detaining me without cause. I have every right to ask why. Foster grabbed Dr. Hassan's arm. You're under arrest for suspicious behavior and refusing to comply. Refusing to comply with what? I've shown you identification. I've explained why I'm traveling. I've opened my bags. I'm a cardiac surgeon. Other passengers were recording now. An airline employee rushed over. Officer, is there a problem? Dr. Hassan is a first-class passenger flying to Seattle. He's a physician. We have his records. Foster ignored her and handcuffed Dr. Hassan. Dr. Hassan didn't resist, but spoke clearly. I am not resisting. I'm complying. I am Dr. Ahmed Hassan, Chief of Cardiac Surgery at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. I've been a cardiovascular surgeon for 21 years. I've performed over 7,000 heart surgeries. I'm traveling to Seattle to perform emergency surgery tomorrow morning on a patient with an aortic dissection who will die without my intervention. Officer Foster is arresting me for being an Arab Muslim at an airport. I showed identification. I explained my travel purpose. I have a valid ticket. I cleared TSA security. I have witnesses. This is racial and religious profiling. There is a patient in Seattle whose life depends on this surgery. The airline employee was on her radio calling supervisors. Passengers were recording and posting to social media in real time. This is wrong, someone shouted. He's a doctor, another yelled. Let him catch his flight. Voices called out. One passenger, a nurse who recognized Dr. Hassan from a medical conference, spoke up. That's Dr. Hassan. He's one of the best cardiac surgeons in the country. What are you doing? Foster walked Dr. Hassan away from the gate past hundreds of shocked passengers, many recording, many posting to social media about a doctor being arrested at the airport. Through the terminal, past shops and restaurants where travelers stopped to stare, to an airport police holding area. Dr. Hassan continued speaking. I'm a physician. I have a patient dying in Seattle. This arrest will delay life-saving surgery. I'm being detained for my ethnicity and religion. This is a violation of federal civil rights laws and TSA non-discrimination policies. I have done nothing wrong. Within 20 minutes, the story was viral on social media. Within 30 minutes, Cedars-Sinai was notified. Within an hour, the hospital in Seattle called frantically asking where Dr. Hassan was. The patient's family was calling. Media outlets were picking up the story. Renowned surgeon arrested at LAX before emergency surgery was trending. A supervisor arrived, Captain James Rodriguez, who'd been trying to remove Foster for years. He reviewed the situation, spoke with witnesses, watched video from passengers showing Dr. Hassan sitting quietly before being approached, confirmed his identity with Cedars-Sinai. He approached Dr. Hassan, still handcuffed. Dr. Hassan, this detention was completely unjustified and inexcusable. You're being released immediately with our profound apologies. We're arranging for you to make your flight. He turned to Foster with fury. You detained a cardiac surgeon traveling to perform emergency surgery. He showed you his medical credentials. He explained his travel purpose. You arrested him anyway. Why? Because of his name and ethnicity. This is federal civil rights violation. This is TSA policy violation. Badge and weapon. You're terminated effective immediately. But it was too late. Dr. Hassan had missed his flight. The next flight to Seattle wouldn't arrive until after midnight. The surgery, scheduled for 6 a.m., had to be performed by a different surgeon with less experience in these complex cases. The patient survived but had complications that Dr. Hassan might have prevented. By the next morning, the story had exploded nationally and internationally. Medical organizations worldwide condemned it. The American College of Cardiology issued a statement. Cedars-Sinai held a press conference. Airlines expressed concern. The story resonated powerfully. A world-renowned surgeon detained because of his ethnicity while traveling to save a life. Dr. Hassan held a press conference in his white coat. I'm a cardiac surgeon. I've dedicated my life to saving lives. I've performed over 7,000 heart surgeries. I was traveling to Seattle to perform emergency surgery on a patient with a life-threatening aortic dissection. Officer Foster saw an Arab man with a Muslim name and detained me. My credentials didn't matter. My purpose didn't matter. My patient didn't matter. 42 complaints over 17 years, 37 involving Arab and Muslim passengers. The system protected him while he violated federal civil rights laws and endangered patient care. Dr. Hassan filed a comprehensive federal lawsuit 22 months later against Officer Richard Foster, his supervisors, LAX Airport Police, the City of Los Angeles, and the Los Angeles Airport Commission. The allegations were unprecedented: unlawful detention based on race, ethnicity, and religion in violation of the Fourth Amendment and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, religious discrimination in violation of the First Amendment, false arrest without probable cause, violation of federal airline passenger rights, interference with interstate travel, interference with medical practice endangering patient care, intentional infliction of emotional distress on a healthcare provider, damage to professional reputation, violation of TSA non-discrimination policies, deliberate indifference to Foster's pattern despite federal complaints, and punitive damages for egregious conduct affecting patient safety. The complaint included Foster's record of 42 complaints, DOJ and civil rights organization complaints, expert testimony from civil rights lawyers and medical ethicists about the harm of detaining surgeons before emergency procedures. Los Angeles' city attorneys found the case legally indefensible and politically catastrophic. Video showed Dr. Hassan sitting quietly. His credentials were extensive and verified. He'd cleared TSA security. Foster had no reasonable suspicion. The detention delayed emergency surgery. The pattern showed deliberate indifference. International medical community demanded accountability. Federal government was investigating. Airlines were threatening to reduce LAX service. The city settled 30 months later, $19 million paid to Dr. Ahmed Hassan, the largest airport profiling settlement in U.S. history, reflecting not just civil rights violations but interference with life-saving medical care. Officer Richard Foster was terminated immediately and faced federal charges for deprivation of rights under color of law based on race and religion. He pleaded guilty and received 54 months in federal prison. His name entered the National Decertification Index with permanent notation. Dr. Hassan testified before Congress and the UN Human Rights Council. "I'm a cardiac surgeon. I save lives. I was detained for being Arab and Muslim while traveling to perform emergency heart surgery. My patient suffered complications because a less experienced surgeon had to operate." 42 complaints. Federal agencies complained. The system protected Foster while he violated civil rights and endangered lives. The $19 million reflects the unique harm. This wasn't just false arrest, it was interference with emergency medical care. LAX, TSA, and federal authorities implemented sweeping reforms: termination at 2 profiling complaints, federal monitoring, DOJ oversight, cultural competency requirements, passenger rights protocols. Foster is in federal prison. The city paid $19 million. Dr. Hassan continues as a renowned surgeon and became an international advocate against profiling. The case is taught in medical schools and law schools worldwide. Comment if profiling healthcare providers should carry enhanced penalties. And if these stories matter, hit that subscribe button. This isn't about one officer or one surgeon. It's about systems that endanger lives by protecting officers who profile based on ethnicity and religion.